Okay, so what happens when diplomacy just stops being diplomatic? We're not talking about some quiet disagreement behind closed doors. No, no. We're talking about a sharp, very public, and incredibly calculated clash between India and Poland. And it tells us so much about a major shift in how India is now playing the game on the world stage.
Just try to picture this. You hear these words, but not in some secret leaked memo. They were spoken directly to the face of a foreign leader during a public meeting with cameras rolling. That's exactly what India's top diplomat, S. Jaishankar, did. He essentially, right out in the open, accused Poland of helping to support terrorism in South Asia.
And the reaction? Oh, it was immediate. You could see it on the Polish official's face. He was completely blindsided, totally shaken. And then, of course, the reporters just swarmed him, right? Does your country support terrorism? And he had nothing. He just walked away. This was just a raw, unfiltered moment that you almost never see in the super guarded world of international diplomacy.
So this brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why on earth would India choose this very public stage to confront a member of the European Union so bluntly? Let me tell you, this was not a random outburst. It was a message. And to really understand it, we've got to peel back the layers of a surprisingly deep and complicated history. You see, this whole confrontation has roots that go way, way back, for decades. And it shines a light on a connection between Poland and Pakistan that, honestly, most people have no idea even exists. A history that has consistently tilted in Pakistan's favor, not India's. The story really kicks off right after Pakistan was created, back in the 1950s. Poland actually sent military personnel to help build its air force from the ground up. Now let's fast forward to 2017, when reports start bubbling up about Polish assistance with Pakistan's missile and maybe even its nuclear programs. And then, get this, just months before this whole incident, that very same Polish deputy prime minister visits Pakistan and brings up the incredibly sensitive issue of Kashmir in a joint statement. For India, that was a major provocation. And just to give you a sense of how deep that early relationship was, think about this number, 70. That's how many Polish pilots and technicians were sent to help establish the Pakistani Air Force. And listen, these weren't just advisors flying in and out. Some of them became so integrated into the country that they married locally and stayed, with one pilot even becoming a celebrated national hero in Pakistan. This was a really foundational partnership. But okay, all that history doesn't fully explain why this is all blowing up right now. To understand the timing, we need to look at the biggest geopolitical event of our time, the war in Ukraine. Now, from Poland's perspective, this isn't really about being anti-India. European geopolitics is rarely that black and white. Their actions are driven by their own national interests, and right now, their number one, top-of-the-list interest is countering Russia. So, what's the thinking in Poland? It's a pretty straightforward, if cold, geopolitical calculation. Step 1. The main goal is to arm Ukraine to fight Russia. Simple enough. Step 2. They need partners who have compatible military equipment, and, well, that's where Pakistan comes in. Which leads to Step 3. Poland starts working with Pakistan to secure a supply line of weapons for Ukraine. Okay, and this is where India's response becomes an absolute masterclass in diplomacy. It wasn't just what they said, but how they said it. India's foreign minister chose one specific word and used it with, surgical precision. That word? Fuel. You see, just a few months before this, at a summit in Europe, Poland's own prime minister had publicly criticized India for buying discounted Russian oil. And he used that exact phrasing, accusing India of fueling Russia's war machine. Well, India took note of that word. They didn't forget it. Then, in this absolutely brilliant move, India just turned that accusation right back around. S. Jaishankar took Poland's chosen word, fuel, and threw it right back at them, connecting their dealings with Pakistan to fueling terrorism. It was this perfect pointed move of diplomatic jujitsu. It sent a very clear signal. We will not be lectured. This single exchange is really the perfect example of a new, much more assertive Indian foreign policy, one that is completely unafraid to draw lines in the sand. And this is where we see that new strategy in action. You know, when dealing with a superpower like the United States, India is often pretty measured and cautious, even when they disagree. But with a country like Poland, they've shown they're willing to be incredibly direct and assertive. It's a calibrated response, and it's all based on the specific relationship and the leverage they hold. So what is that leverage? Well, it's economic. It's about the money. Poland's trade with Pakistan is minimal. Their trade with India, on the other hand, is growing fast. But the massive prize on the horizon, the real game changer, is a huge free trade agreement between the entire European Union and India. And Poland knows its economic future is tied far more to New Delhi than it is to Islamabad.
So the message here is crystal clear. India is no longer going to stay silent when its core security issues are on the table. It's willing to use public platforms for some very tough diplomacy. It's weaponizing its economic importance as strategic leverage. And it's signaling that the old days when European nations could comment on South Asian affairs without any consequences, well, those days are over.
And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question to think about. As India's economy continues to grow and grow, we have to ask, is this blend of economic power and public assertiveness becoming its main diplomatic weapon on the global stage?